Guys, many of us were shocked to wake up on Sunday morning and learn of the deadliest terror attack on American soil since 9/11. 49 victims perished in a horrific attack in a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida. We've got team Chaser coverage, actually complete Chaser coverage of this. And I know everyone has a bit of the story to weigh in on, from the FBI angle to the local angle. But I want to start with Diana, who is in Edison. Diana is out in front of the family home of the terrorist's first wife.
That's right, Bill. So I'm here in Edison, New Jersey, trying to learn more about the Orlando shooter, Omar Mateen, who carried out the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. The home in back of me is where his ex-wife's family lives. Situra Yusufi lived in New Jersey briefly before meeting and marrying Mateen in 2008. They then later moved together to Florida. They were together only for a few short months before her family discovered the abuse and the obsessive control he had over her. The abuse allegations, is that true?
Yeah, that is true. It happened.
That's her brother confirming those abuse allegations. He and his parents live in this home in back of me here in New Jersey. I asked him his relationship with his ex-brother-in-law. Did he find his former brother-in-law to be close to his Islamic faith? And did he think this behavior was completely out of character for him?
Not this behavior, but I don't know.
Did he seem close to his faith?
His faith? No comment on that.
His uncle also speaking with me briefly on Sunday, confirming also this is a very stressful time for the family.
Diane, I understand the uncle said also that the first wife has moved on. She's actually engaged to be married again.
Right, so she is engaged. She's living in Colorado.
Oh, she's all right. I mean, she has a fiance, and they're planning to get married, so she's also not comfortable with all of that.
And the uncle did say also, we never thought we'd be in this situation. We never thought this would happen to us. So you have to have sympathy for them. They're just as much victims as the rest of the people that day.
Thanks, Diana. Tamara, as more details come out about the dead from this awful terror attack, you're chasing the local angle where there are victims right in our viewing area. What do you got?
As we continue to get updates on the victims of the attack in Orlando, we have learned that several of the victims actually had connections to New York and Pennsylvania. Authorities have confirmed that Enrique Rios, Mercedez Marisol Flores, and Akyra Murray were all killed in the attack. What we know about them is that Enrique Rios, he's a 25-year-old man from Brooklyn. He grew up in Williamsburg. He was attending nursing school while working as a social worker with the elderly. Mercedez Marisol Flores, she's 26 years old. She was born in Queens. She moved down to Florida when she was a child. She studied literature at Valencia College and had an interest in party planning. And then there's Akyra Murray, 18 years old and from Philadelphia. She graduated from West Catholic Prep High School last week and was a star player at Burr's girl basketball team. There's also been one more victim of this, a young woman. Her name is Patience Carter. She was shot in the leg, and she lives in Philadelphia, and she's also an intern at Fox 29, and we will keep you updated.
It's so close to home, it's amazing. It was one of the eerie things that I heard coming out of it was when some of the first responders reported that the only sound you could hear as they were cleaning up were cell phones that were ringing of the victims. I don't know if you heard that. It's so horrific, but I'll tell you this, I think you're getting as much sadness in the thoughts and prayers as you are getting anger.
Outrage.
People saying we're outraged and this can't happen.
One positive thing that is coming out of this, if there's anything, is that yesterday when I was on Facebook, for example, looking into this, I got pop-ups left and right from my friends that are in Florida saying, this person registered safe, this person registered safe.
Wow.
Facebook has now put in this material where you can actually go online and say, here I am, I'm safe, so that your family and friends, and it's sad that we have to do that, but it's something that's coming out of these tragedies.
Alex, you're chasing the second local connection to this terror attack. What do you got?
Marcus Dwayne Robertson, who allegedly inspired the shooter to carry out this attack with vicious homophobic rhetoric. Well, he used to be a New York resident and was part of the notorious Alibaba and the 40 Thieves gang that were perpetrating bank robberies in New York City in the 1990s. And now Robertson was in prison for most of the last few years and was just recently released, and authorities have detained him. I'm going to be looking further into the connection between Robertson and these Orlando shootings. I I got the chance to speak to Daniel Broderson, who is the lawyer for Marcus Dwayne Robertson. And Broderson says his client never met Omar Mateen, the shooter in the Orlando nightclub massacre, has no contact with him, and Mateen was never his student.
Well, anything of that nature, I can categorically say that's not true.
We're going to have that full interview for you tomorrow on Chasing News.
Hank, on the other end of this story are people that are grieving. There are members of New Jersey's gay community that you caught up with in Asbury Park.
I checked in at New Jersey LGBTQ headquarters last night, Club Paradise in Asbury Park, just to see what, if anything, was going on. The club had a candlelight vigil at 9 o'clock. Here are some of the photos from that for the Orlando victims. The mood was understandably somber.
I just want to give my heartfelt sympathies to the victims and their families and everyone that's been touched by this terrible tragedy. And this tragedy goes beyond Orlando.
Everyone I spoke with, Bill, knew what had happened, but people were just sort of talking about it in their own circles, in their own ways, or not at all. I wondered whether, part of my question was whether the gay community figured this was a direct attack on them or on the public at large. And the point seemed to me moot by the time I got there. It turns out it's an and situation. It was both.
You hear some things like what his feelings were, like what he thought about the gay lesbian community, but in retrospective, it's a strike against all Americans because, you know, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, you know, an act of terrorism can happen at any moment.
And as glad as I was to talk to Connie and the others about it, I came away with more questions than I did answers. All I know is that in my gut, this seems like a problem that's going to get worse than it gets any better.
Sabeel, you chased down Governor Christie, who had some words to say about this terrorist attack. What do you got?
Ever since the Orlando shooting, there's been a huge division in the country, with the liberals calling for more action on gun control and conservatives saying that this is about ISIS, about radical Islamism. So to get to the bottom of it, I chased it to Whippany, New Jersey, and I posed that exact question to Governor Christie. I caught up with him at his car as he was getting in, and I said, I just want to ask, do you believe it's a gun control issue or ISIS, the Orlando shooting? He did not want to get into this political melee going on right now. But inside this event, which was scheduled for business leaders, Governor Christie was willing to talk a little bit about the tragedy.
But not saying the words, closing our eyes, pretending it's something else, pretending it's not as bad as it is, didn't make San Bernardino go away. It's not going to make Orlando go away. Or whatever the next city is that we identify as a place where murder is done by terrorists.
And he said that people don't understand the ideology of radical Islamic terrorism.
Remember something about radical Islam. They hate women, they hate Jews, they hate Catholics, and they hate homosexuals. They've made that very clear.
And Governor Christie said that he's not going to be the type of politician that just, talks about the victims and does some navel gazing and does nothing about it.
Did he give anything specific, though, in the event, or was it just a couple talking points about the rhetoric?
The event was for business leaders, and it was just talking about the economy of New Jersey and creating jobs for the private sector. But he did take time to talk about the tragedy.